Didn't say it was live yet. Thought I'd catch up for a second. Didn't say it was live yet. Thought I'd catch up for a second. Didn't say it was live yet. What's up, boys? What's up? There we go. Sorry, I had a little bit of a delay there for about 45 seconds getting started here. Sorry, the internet's acting a little bit funny tonight. So if you guys get the little circle of buffering, don't worry about it. It'll clear itself up. So apologize about the first minute. So let some people get here in the chat. This is our weekly live stream here on the channel, Neo Mustangs. Welcome to the channel. If you are new to the channel, make sure you drop a like if you enjoy the content and maybe consider subscribing. Yeah, got to get that out of the way, right? Anyways, topic of the evening. Well, first, I want to make a shout out to my club members here in green. Actually, my club members helped me decide on what color we were going to paint the SSP this past week. We had a pretty in-depth conversation, and I appreciate everybody who was involved in that. Made a lot of good points with the paint, and got a video coming out Tuesday, Tuesday, that shows all that information. As you can see, the coupe isn't here right now, so you guys got to stick around and watch that and check it out. What's up, Broker Tool? What's up, Cousin Paul in the house? My man, Cousin Paul. Hey, it's a white car. What's up, KP? Super Dave, how we doing? Broken Tool Garage, how we doing? Good to see everybody. So, where was I at here? Man Gear 50, what's up, man? It's been a long time, man, for sure. Man Gear is probably one of my oldest members, especially club members. I think he was day one when I signed up, man. It's good to see you here. Haven't seen you in a while, man. Haven't seen you on comments or nothing. What you been up to? Handle Motorsports in the house, live stream, NA Coyote cars to the front at FTO. That's not the topic of the evening, bro. You know that. So big shout to my sponsors, Handler Motorsports, Tremec Transmission, McLeod Clutch, Team Z, Stiflers, MAP Racing, AGP Turbo, all you guys. Trickflow, I appreciate everybody. Appreciate everybody here on the channel. Good to see all these club members in here. What's up, Ford Guy Mike? What's up, Mike Sherrill? Stangman 78. I'll try to shout you guys out as you come into the channel. Anyways, the topic of the night is just that. You guys see the black car in the thumbnail. And actually, this is a club member, aka channel member, aka sponsor, Handler Motorsports idea. He actually gave me this idea probably 3 or 4 months ago. Said I should do a live stream or a video about, you know, what actually happens. It's a good topic. It's, you know, let's talk about Fox body culture first before we get into the actual topic of, you know, racing or going faster. Like this, a lot of this stuff may not be like there's different types of culture in the Fox body community where, you know, and none of it's, you know, none of it's wrong. It's all who, you know, it's all how you want to build it. You know, there's no wrong answer to the way you want to build your car. So some people like to race a lot more than others. Some people like to, you know, like to car show, maybe do like SEMA build type stuff, like perfection and, you know, trophy car. I love that stuff because it can just show you how meticulous you can get with the design and the one-off stuff. Like I take War Admiral for example, War Admiral 363 over on Instagram. Tom's car has, you know, a handful of one-off stuff, and it's just an amazing car. It's an amazing build. Same thing with Mario Pineda and his Bimini Coupe. You know, KSD Notch. His car is amazing with the Terminator swap. I mean, there's just a number of them. I mean, there's cars that the Fox body culture is amazing because you can go so many different ways. You can make a drift car if that's going to be a thing you enjoy. And there's different ways of actually building your Fox body the way you want it to be. And like for me, I like to race a lot. And regardless if you're racing, taking your car to the car show, dabbling with driving it around town a little bit that you can, the car always changes. And some people may say that, well, I'll never go that fast. I use the mile an hour 100. It actually should be 120, but usually right around about 130, the car starts to change, and that's just kind of par for the course. When you legitimately, you got a stock Mustang and you throw a turbo kit on it, you're going 120. I mean, if it's tuned correctly, you're going 120, and the whole car changes. And what we've done with Dad's car in the blue, the blue LX, that's kind of one of the things that one of the great examples that I could make from this topic is the fact that, the car's going to change regardless. If you do a Coyote swap, it's going to make 400 to 450 wheel. That's going to change the car. You do a stroker motor, NA. It could even be a little 330, 331. I wouldn't say little, but it could be a 331, a 347. It could be a 363 or even a 351 or whatever. Your car's going to change. So I wanted to share tonight some of the experiences, and you guys can chime in on some of yours. What are some of the things that you notice, like especially with the black car and the white car here, as they got faster, some of the things that really started to happen when I started to go down the track and street drive it for that matter. So that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. Like I said, it's a Fox body culture, has different ways of building your Fox body, and there's no wrong way to build it. You build what you want to build, whether it's, like I said, drift car, show car, race car, bracket car, street strip car. It's just, there's no wrong answer to any of it. So, but this topic can be covered over pretty much all of them, because your car is going to change. The more power you make, the more things you change in the car. You see what I mean? I mean, there's even a really good, a really big genre too for resto mod now, in even factory restoration. So we're starting to kind of see some of that come to fold. You're starting to see some of the the lower mileage cars really getting taken care of with some of the items that we talk about here on the channel, with like the bushings and the weather stripping. And I dig that, man. I dig all that, because that's meticulous. I mean, when I come up to a Fox body to look at it at a car show, I want to see if there's things like that have changed, or if it's still dry cracking like mine is around the door. You know what I mean? So let me get in the chat here. Yes, sir. We're going to try to pay these bills. Yes, sir. Keep pushing these Fox bodies to the limit. I dig everything you and Brutal do. I appreciate that, Caleb. I appreciate that. What's up, Smurf? It's good to see you, Sandy. Sandy's in the house. Bad gas mileage. I'm surprised somebody didn't put in the comments that what happens at 130, well, you win. I was figuring somebody would snap and say it right off the bat. But anyways, we're going to a live stream tonight, guys, and we probably won't live stream next weekend, because I'm pretty sure that's the Super Bowl, and we got those Eagles in the Super Bowl with those Chiefs. So is that right? Yeah. I'm not watching football right now. I'm too busy to be watching it right now. But we got probably one of the biggest Philadelphia Eagle fans here in the channel, Handle Motorsports over here. Loves the Eagles. Carlos, I wish I could run some sort of cage at some point, but without the roll bar behind the seats, so I can make the kiddos out. Yeah, so that's kind of one of the biggest, one of the best things you can really do to this car, when you start going faster. Now, let's just talk about when we start going fast. I'm going to actually make a transition tonight. It's going to be kind of like a podcast form, sort of. We're going to talk some church. We're going to talk some shit here on the live stream about, the transition of the car from, stock running at like 90 miles an hour to through the quarter mile at like 1470s, 15.0s, and how we've done this on probably a dozen Fox bodies in my time, just made a transition of power, and I even made a live stream about a year ago. It was called The Tears of Power, if you guys remember that. And that's like legitimately how it went. And that's why we talk about some of these mods here on the channel and what you should expect your next move be. Worst part about it is everybody wants to jump to the end without putting the work in. And you got to put the work in first. You got to put the time and the experience in. There is no special tune that's going to make everything work in your car. Everybody's car is completely different. So like your car may not brake worth a shit at 100 miles an hour, but my car stops at 150 with factory brakes. You see 140 as factory brakes. Is that the right answer? No. But the point of the matter is everybody's car is different. That's what I'm trying to say is. So Neo Mustangs, I heard that the unibody starts to twist pretty bad. Yep. With higher output engine, cubic inch. That's correct. It's the torque. I mean, boys, the torque is what gets the cap off your beard. Torque is torque, man. Torque is what gets you out of the hole, and it twists the whole body. It really does. That's probably one of the biggest concerns when you start going 130. Like I said, I started to notice a change in the cars. Literally, we took Dad's car out there. If you remember correctly, it was speed density. We blew a motor up. Legitimately, it was a stock car. You guys remember that? We didn't do any mods to the axle outside of gears, which is like one of the first mods you do anyways, right? We didn't even have subframe connectors on the car. And if you follow Dad's playlist on his Blue LX, you'll see the transition of power. Like we went from like a speed density car running 1420s. And we were like, we got to get this car into the 13s. We ended up going like 1390 something. I don't remember, Cousin Paul, what it was. On like a stock motor. We lightened it up with the accessories in the front, and we didn't really take anything out of the car. We just want to see how fast we can make this full weight LX go. So we ended up getting the supercharger, if you guys remember that. Once we put the supercharger on there, even at like 7 pounds on a speed density FMU, making, what was it, 330, 320 to the wheels, started changing the whole car. You started to see the car twist around corners because of the torque. The old body stuff that still was in the car, like the control arms and the bushings and such, the stuff in the car started to change. And that's what this whole live stream is about. And that's kind of, this live stream is going to kind of connect all the other live streams that we've talked about with like your first mods and your top 5 mods and your safety mods. Now, safety mods meaning the chassis in the car itself and the tune, et cetera, or whatever. Not necessarily last week's one. We did the hazards of it. If you guys have seen, last week's one where we did the top 10 hazards. You guys, if you didn't get a chance to look at this from last week, because I know live streams kind of hit a little different on YouTube than actual videos, you guys need to go back and check this out. These things need to be checked yearly. These cars are 35 years old now. They're even older than that if they're sub 86 or 87. So the problem's going to be, those things are going to eventually go bad in your Fox body. So make sure you guys check that live stream out or that video that we did last year. Super Dave, man, I appreciate the 1999 super chat, super sticker, man. I appreciate it every week. Hope the shirt fits pretty good. I definitely want to get more things out. My club members need to be checking the channel this week. We do have a couple giveaways coming up. I got some things to talk to you guys about with the coupe. Yeah. Anyway, we got a new member to the channel, man, Preston Rollins, man. I appreciate you joining up. If you guys are curious, it's the join button below and all my videos right next to the subscribe button. Anyways, moving on. Jim or Mike, what did Mike say? Sorry. Are 30-pound injectors unheard of for NA 302 with ported 170s? They're a little big. You shouldn't be running, if you're a naturally aspirated 302, even with 170s, you need to be on some 19-pound injectors. I'm not even going to lie to you. Like an NA 302 can only move so much air. Like once you start stroking the motor, like 331, 327, 347, you start moving more air. A stock bottom end 302 with a 170s on 19-pound injectors with a GT40 intake or a trick flow cam, trick flow intake, 19-pound injectors, you're not going to max your injector out. 19s go to about 350 wheel, 340 wheel before they're out of fuel. at about 6,000 RPM. And even on a stock bottom end motor, Mike, shouldn't be going past like 62, 60. You want the motor to survive? You don't go past 64. The motor doesn't like that. Trust me. Hurt head, don't hit the bars. Yeah. Yeah, so we did go 1350. If I'm on a stock motor, or was it, did it have GT40s on it? Foxes are much stronger than the old 66 Mustangs did. Yeah, both are great. I appreciate that. So moving on, I'm using my dad's car and the black car and the white car as like, examples of the experiences that we had. So like I said, Fox body culture, not everybody, the genre, the community, not everybody drag races, but consider the fact that if you do mod your car, it's going to change. So, modding the car, the track, whether it be 1/8 mile or quarter mile, or even drift or even circle track, autocross is a true test of the strength and the power of your car, correct? So light as might, there's so many different ways you can attack that, as far as that conversation is concerned. But the main thing is always the car is going to change. So your stock control arms, your stock bushings, your shocks and your struts, everything's going to change. One thing I noticed, and I'll share experience. We were going about 100 miles an hour in Dad's car, naturally aspirated. I think we did like 101 a couple times. I think that was like a 1320, 1340s. We were moving out. But the one thing I noticed that when we started going over about 100 miles an hour, the car started really changing. And like I said, I used the 130 as like kind of a clickbait-ish thumbnail. But actually right around about 115, 120 is what I should have put. The car considerably changes. Not only does it now have more power and more torque, but as we went down the track, the car felt looser. And the car would like vibrate. You know what I mean? The car would just move. And I know it was just a normal LX, whatever. Medium, higher mileage, 100,000 miles, whatever. And this is before we started doing the control arms. We started doing all the mods to Dad's car. The car would just shake, and it would just, we would come through the track, and we would literally be like this at like 120, 100. I think we got to 120 on Dad's car. And the brakes were just not there. They were terrible. Couldn't figure it out. I mean, we even changed rotors. It had to have been just the whole system in general. It had to have been the brake booster right into the master cylinder, right into the calipers themselves. We ended up finding out that we had a caliper that was sticking. Almost put me in the wall at one time. If you guys remember that video, it damn near put me in the wall because it caught and it turned my whole car. So these are the things and the experiences I like to share. Like I am nowhere near 200 mile an hour. I'm not even 170 mile an hour. I mean, we've been close to 160, and that's like it's kind of scary a little bit. You coming through the traps at 160. Kind of glad that I like the 1/8 mile. I never thought I would like 1/8 mile racing, but I kind of dig it because I'm not going 170 miles an hour. But I'm not afraid to go that fast. But things change even up past 150. Like every 10 mile an hour. So, anyways, back to what I was talking about, and these are some of the things that happened to me with the black car as well. It just, your car just starts to change. Shaking was probably the first thing that I noticed. Well, I take that back. When we started drag racing my black car and we started drag racing Dad's car, first thing I noticed was the car would try to squat real hard. Because when the car actually bites, the whole, the whole passenger right corner, digs right into the wheel well. So if you don't have a shock, you can use your factory springs. Hell, I still use my factory springs on both cars. If you don't have the proper shock or anti-roll bar to keep that from happening, you're wasting not only ET, but you're wasting 60 foot time to get the car out of the hole because it's rolling at that point. The body's twisting. And then, that's kind of one of the first things. I mean, I got a picture on my laptop here somewhere where my white car, we first had the 363 out. You remember that, Cousin Paul? I know Sandy and Cousin Paul were there. We first had the 363 out in the white car because that's what it was in first. And literally, we launched that car so hard that I buried the passenger wheel into the whole wheel well, almost blew the tire out. And the whole car came up, probably did like a 3 foot wheelie, well, 2 feet. And the whole car came up, and I remember looking straight up at the sky, come down, and next thing you know, I mean, I literally just missed the Christmas tree. It was crazy. But again, you know, all this power I had on the front of it, you know, with the 363 and the I think that was when it was naturally aspirated, made like 440, 450 wheel. Literally just, my car was like, all right, well, it's time to go through and do all these mods now, because I got to be able to make the power work for me. So anyways, I think 30 pounds are a little bit fat. So that's correct. But so moving on, what happens to you? That was probably one of the first things that we remember. You know, like I said, I'm not the fastest guy in the world. Don't claim to be the fastest guy in the world. Never will be the fastest guy in the world. I'm okay with that. You know what I mean? I'm gonna go 150. I'm gonna go 160. Maybe we'll see what happens. Got to pull the chute once in a while. I don't know. We'll find out. That's what's happening this year, hopefully. But you know, with the coupe coming into the game now, we're going to be able to do a lot of different things that we can't do with this white car, and a lot of things we couldn't do with the black car. So we're just going to kind of, you know, really focus on not only car showing the car, but you know, being able to actually race it and do some track racing. So, anyways, yeah, that's why we're starting. You see me starting with the coupe mods, like legitimately. You see me, you know, starting with all this stuff we're talking about, like, and you'll see how like all my live streams are starting to connect, sort of, where like we talk about mods and the first mods, like I said it earlier, and then you know we talking about like some of the videos that we have going on with the coupe and the white car and the black car. So you kind of see how it's kind of transitioning. With the coupe, I knew what I had to do. You know, when I buried the wheel on this car, like the first thing I noticed, even on my dad's car, like I said, is the car would squat. What fixes that? Shocks and an anti-roll bar. Now, anti-roll bar isn't really considered a street thing, but I'm going to be honest with you, I haven't had no issues driving around in an anti-roll bar on the street on my white car or my black car for years. We don't, you know, it's having spools and anti-roll bar on the street isn't exactly the best idea, because I mean, you're going around the corner and you're like, it sounds really funny. People think you're doing a burnout and you're not. You're just trying to turn your damn car. That's kind of one of the side effects to having a spool and an anti-roll bar on your car and trying to street drive a little bit. But the pro to it means it leaves the whole straight and nothing moves and nothing shakes. So second thing I probably would have to say that I noticed with when Dad's car and the black car started going faster was a car would steer. Okay. And that's, you know, it doesn't matter how, you know, like how fast you're going to go, whether you go 100, 110, 150, 120, 170, whatever, your car's going to steer different. The faster you go, the more power you put to the wheels, the more your car is going to lean back and go down the track. Now, again, same thing with autocross, or, you know, I'm not really an autocross expert, so I'm just going to say that I'm sure they have completely different, you know, settings and completely different shocks and coilover stuff for their car when you're cornering. And there's a lot of people out there that do Fox body, like autocross racing. It's got its own little, you know, genre of people. The same thing with drifting. You know, it doesn't matter. The more power we make, the things that change in the car. You see what I mean? So I guess shock settings, struts in the front, you know, strut settings and shock settings was kind of one of the next things that you would want to do when you started to go faster in your car, because, well, I take that back. Let's backtrack a little bit. Shock and struts can happen at any time past the fact that you need to tie the frame up. We talk about that with, you know, the best mods with the subframes. We talk about that with control arms. There's so many different mods involved once you start making your Fox body go faster, not only to make it safe, but to make it efficient. You see what I mean? It's almost a safety thing. Like if you just throw a turbo kit or throw a supercharger kit on a relatively stock Mustang, and then next thing you know, you go out to the track, yeah, I'm going to go bust off a 9-second pass. It's probably not a good idea. You know, it's probably not even a good idea to go 1090s, because if your car doesn't have the proper mods that we talk about on the channel all the time with like the anti-roll bar, the subframes, you don't have to have a spool, but have a good diff and a good set of axles with C-clip eliminators. There's safety things there. Like you want to make 500 horsepower, well, make your car handle 500 horsepower. You know what I mean? Or it's going to be dangerous and it's going to be hazardous to yourself. You know what I mean? It's going to be, you know, all over the track. So one of the biggest things, like I said, when we started racing with the stock chassis is definitely the steering. Like you would steer because your whole steering geometry would start to change, and without getting excessively changing the steering geometry, so you can still drive it out on the street and go to car shows or Walmart or wherever. There's definitely a toe setting and a slamming of the cambers that needs to happen when you like maybe a coilover setup, maybe a tubular K member. Like again, we talk about these things that we on the coupe that we're going to do. Like you notice that like my top 10 mods had nothing to do with power. I had to make the car strong because I already have the power in multiple engines in my shop, as well as turbos, which we got another turbo, by the way. If you guys see it there. And it's going to be awesome because like I can just take everything that I have already and make the coupe just kind of do its work. You see what I mean? Let me get in the chat here. I'm sorry if I'm missing you guys here. Jimmer, you're tricking your ECU. It's not the best way, but not far off and probably not doing damage. A simple tune would let you add fuel to you get off the air if you want. So we do pretty good with the tune that we got. I mean, I know I got a couple Terminator X's sitting on the shelf that we talk about all the time, but definitely, Ken, I appreciate the $5 super sticker. I'll get back into that in a second. But I appreciate you, Ken. Another channel member on the channel, man. Thank you so much for donating to the channel tonight. So, what's up, Wicked? Yeah, so going back to your thing, your comment, Jimmer. Yeah, I mean, there's some things that we're going to definitely do with the SSP that we didn't do with the black car and a white car with the tuning. We're going to definitely be tuning Terminator X this year. I got these tunes. We're always constantly tweaking these tunes in binary editor. We got to actually go back to the dyno just to see what the difference of my turbo is going to make with the black car, with the housing and such. And we're going to, get a heartbeat of the 363 to see. The whole point of actually taking the black car back is it's just a shell with a motor. So we're going to actually be able to test the motor to make sure that the heartbeat of the motor is good. You know what I mean? Because that's going to be the motor that, eventually is going to get into the coupe here, hopefully within the next 3 to 6 months. We're going to probably put another T56 behind it. We might try to send the TKX into the 8s. I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. The car is not going to weigh a super lot, but it's not going to look like it's parted out either. So it's going to look pretty good. It's going to look tactful. So I do autocross a lot of fun. Cool, man. Drag racing is just hard on the car. That's correct. I watched so many people just toss mods in and not go as fast as they want because they don't do the little things that, yeah, that's correct. So that's why we talk about, like I said, we try to make all our live streams kind of connect and make sense. This is why we're always talking about subframe connectors, because legitimately cars, Fox body's going 130 miles an hour is just a metaphor, if you don't get it, on the live tonight, because we're just talking about the way the car changes when it starts to make more power and go faster. And that's why we talked about top 5 mods, top 10 mods in our videos. And I try to actually bring things to the channel outside of saying, hey, cold air intake, heads cam intake, exhaust, gears. I try to focus some things. My first mods on my coupe are going to have nothing to do with power. And they're going to have everything to do with stability and making the car, if I make 750, 800 wheel with my coupe, I'm happy. You know why? Because 750, 800 wheel is hard to deal with as it is. So if I can get that car to go A to B and go straight, especially being a stick shift car, it's going to be pretty dangerous. And I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to be able to tweak it, and we're going to have plenty of room to where we can get faster if we wanted to. So what do you say? Currently running stock A9L with 24s MAF, so I don't understand why it's so lean, wide up with throttle. Well, if you have a calibrated MAF with your injectors, it should be fat, if anything. Like you look at your motor and you got a stock bottom M302 with 170 heads. Great set of heads. It don't matter what intake you have. It pretty much don't matter what camshaft you have. You probably have something like a Tricklow Stage 1 or an E303 or even a B cam, probably something entry level, right? I would go back to your stock meter at 19-pound injectors. If anything, get some Explorer injectors, because the Explorer injectors are known to spray a little more atomization into the chamber. It's got 4 holes to spray instead of 1 on the old fatty style looking 19-pound injectors, because the Explorer ones are like skinny, but they're still yellow. Try that, man. See if it changes. I mean, I don't know why you're lean, but it has something to do with, maybe your stock tune doesn't like your 24-pound injector calibration, or the injectors aren't doing very well. So what is required in making the body more rigid? Okay, so we talk about subframe connectors. That's probably the first one. If you get a Fox body Mustang, I don't really care if it's bone stock resto mod. Well, like, again, we talked earlier about Fox body culture. You get into that restoration, full restoration, and resto modding. Some of the first mods, now you get into full restoration where like everything's got to be 100% authentic. This is different. That's a small another group of people, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's great. It's preserving the Fox body, right? You get into another group of folks like the resto mods. You start getting into like the regular mods that you can add to it, like wheels and stands and stuff like that. Some of the best things you could do to your car is the subframes first. Reinforce the torque boxes, put the torque box plate on it, put a subframe connector on it, full length. I think full length should be the way to go, period. It means, like I said, Stifler sells one, Maximum Motorsport sells one, Team Z sells one. They're all great. It doesn't really matter who you choose. They're all quality stuff. But that would change the way the car moves, because they're literally, I can show you a picture on my laptop here that a friend of mine actually took a hatch and took a coupe and took them apart, like in the middle, like right here in the middle. He had gotten, I think the front half was a hatch because he had gotten rear-ended on an accident. And his friend had a coupe who had been hit in the front. So he literally unspot welded hundreds of spot welds, took the car apart on the lift, and put the other 2 back together, welded it all up. So what's that tell you? The car has no frame on it. It's unibody. It'll stretch and it'll torque it. The torque literally beats the snot out of it. I mean, I'm sure my SSP has seen a pretty hard life. It's got 96,000 miles on it, which 99% of that happened in the 90s. Probably hasn't been driven much since. But you're talking about a cop car that probably was chasing people at 130 anyways in stock mods. So, I got to tie that car up. I got to tie and weld everything that I can to that car to make sure it goes straight and it returns to its form. So I hope that answers your question a little bit, KP. Shock setting, I have strange 10 ways front and rear. What is a good starting point? Okay, I'm going to answer this real quick. So shock settings, stick shift, and shock settings automatic are kind of a little bit different, because stick shift kind of hits the tire a lot harder, and auto is kind of, well, it depends on if they're on a trans brake. They hit pretty hard too, but I guess it depends on the converter too. There's a lot of little things. Regardless, the more power you make, the more shock you're going to have in the back to pin the tires. So if you're making between like 300 and 400, I'd probably leave my shock setting on a 10-way at like 4, 5. You should be pretty good there. If you're making between 400 and 500, I'd probably bring it up to like 6 or 7. If you're making anywhere past 500 and you're shocking the tire pretty hard, I would probably definitely put it at 7 or 8 at a minimum, because it's a 10-way, so it only goes on rebound, so it's only going to be able to pin the tire so hard. We've been pretty successful with our white car pinning the tire, but we have like a 9 in the front, 8 in the rear shock settings, because they're both 10-way single adjustables. And that's one of the biggest things that we're changing this year on the car, is we're going to be putting some AFCO big guns in the front and in the rear of this car. So it's going to change the way my shocks actually work. And to me, that's all I really needed. I needed to stop my stop my seat from bouncing all over the place, touch up my tune a little bit with a bigger housing, with the new turbo we got, and literally change the clutch as a maintenance thing and shock settings, putting new shocks and struts on it. White car should go faster, straighter, better. That's correct. Fast, cheap, fast, reliable. Pick 2. First mod, always subframes. You correct. What's up, 650 in the house? You guys get a chance to go check out 650. He's actually working on a drift car right now. If you guys are interested in the drifting Fox body build sheet type stuff, again, there's no wrong answer to the way you build your car. I think they look great. I think the wide bodies look really cool. They got their own, he's currently right now on his YouTube channel right now building another content creator's slide fox. That's what he calls it. So check that out. We caging my car now so I don't twist. Okay, so that would be the next thing that I would talk about. Subframe connectors, probably number 1. We're not going to go through the top 10 mods. We've talked about that over and over again. But tying the car up, the car changes at 100, 110, 120. Subframe connectors, torque box reinforcements in the plates. Start talking about a cage. Now, you don't have to cage your car. One thing that I'll share this experience with you guys. Back a few years ago, NMRA here at Norwalk, there used to be a Fun Ford weekend here too. And I don't remember if it was Fun Ford weekend or if it was NMRA. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. But it was one of the stops on the NMRA schedule. Here in Northeast Ohio, in Northeast Ohio, we have a lot of friends that all know who stick shift race and how fast we go and stuff like that. This is before no prep. And NMRA I'm going to share an experience with the fact that my black car, I don't even know where I was going with this. My black car would, with the cage, I wanted to bring in the cage scenario here. They told me that if I showed up, because at that time the car was going 1050s, okay, and 1070s, and we're in the transition right now with my black car, 8 years ago, where I put a turbo kit on my car, had GT40 junkyard 3-bar heads and GT40 intake, no porting, and we put a stock cam with a 173 rockers. You know what I mean? It is what it is. We ended up going 138 with that combo at like 17 pounds of boost. We split a block, yeah, but the car weighed 3,400 pounds. Point I'm trying to make is that's what we did in the end. But in the transition from getting to that point, we used to do NMRA Fun Ford weekend, and they told me that, I had just put the subframe connectors on the black car because, it's kind of one of the things I'm preaching right here on the channel. And like I said, it's like 8 or 10 years ago. And they told me, do not show up. My buddy, Mike Meredith, Mustang Mike, he said, bro, if you show up without a cage, and it's about a week before NMRA's, big deal here in Northeast Ohio, because you wanted to get I got the plaque sitting up there. I got some of the other stuff that we won from Tremec. Tremec's going to be there. McLeod's going to be there, etc. So I had to hurry up and put a cage in my black car. And I said to him, I'm like, look, to me to even compete in the top 8 to top 5, whatever, I can't add weight to my car. He's just like, that's not the way it works. So I ended up putting a cage in. I ended up getting like a $250 competition engineering cage. And, I was budgeted, and I didn't have a lot of money then. I don't have a lot of money now, but I'm just saying, I didn't understand the way, I could have put a chromoly cage in it and been lighter and stronger. I didn't understand that stuff then. So when I put the cage in the car, I didn't like it at first. And I was just like, well, me adding 150 pounds of steel inside of the car is not going to make it go faster. Touche. We ended up running like 1080s, and I'm making the story too long. I'm sorry. We ended up running 1080s. We ended up actually making a 1050 pass in that car, which on the same power level of me running 1090s and 1080s. And the way it is explained to me is, obviously when you put a cage in a car, it changes the way the car reacts. Instead of rolling out and having all that body roll under torque, like we're talking about right now, because my car was changing at that point from going like 120 to 130, 135. When I put that, when I put that 6.8 point cage in, it literally changed the way my car left. And I went faster, which didn't make any sense to me just yet. And I didn't even have an anti-roll bar in it just yet. But you can see the point I'm trying to make here with the live stream and trying to connect it all is it actually made my car go faster, adding weight, because I changed the way the car actually reacted to it. You see what I mean? So Wes Builds, do you prefer 96, 98 rear axle or 01 new edge? 96, 98. I think the new edge ones are I think they're 3/4 inch wider than that. But that's not why it's running, Rich. Okay, so Mike, that sounds exactly like my combo going to my 86. Yeah, man, that'd be cool. Let me get back through here and chat. I have a 93 LX. Do you know where I can get a replacement window for my sunroof? I think I got one. I think I got one here on the channel. If you want to get a hold of me in my on my email. The factory sunroof ones are like they're sturdy. You know, if you got a factory sunroof like the glass itself, don't get rid of it. They're hard to get. I know they're kind of common or whatever, but one day is going to come a day nobody's going to have any. Everything that moves under torque, twisting, and suspension body has lost power. That's correct. So, you know, I hope I kind of shedding some light here in the, you know, in the live chat today, you know, with you, when your car starts to go faster, regardless of what you're doing with it, you're going to have to, you're going to want to save time to tune your suspension, much like you do your engine. You know, tuning suspension isn't rocket science. You know, when you start making more power, you start shocking your tire. If you're no prepping racing, it's a little bit different. I mean, everything has its own differentialities when it comes to launching or leaving the line or whatever, whether you're road racing or drifting or whatnot. But, you know, going through some of these mods that we talk about here on the channel with the subframe connectors, consider the cage, because like I was just talking about, the cage not only is important for your safety, but it'll also change the way your Fox body responds. And that's why we were building the SSP here on the channel. That's exactly what we're focusing on. I'm focusing on all the stuff. Are they the outlaw stuff? Are they the pro mod stuff? No, I'm not going to do the through the floor subframe connectors right now. I'm just going to put the full length ones on that I know. I'm going to do all the same mods that I've done to my white car and my black car that I've learned on. It's kind of like those cars kind of prepped me for this. Do you know what I'm saying? This coupe is going to be what I would hope to be the best car yet. See what I mean? The fastest car yet. You know, it's going to look amazing too. It's going to, the first thing it's getting is a paint job. You know, I didn't do that with my white car or my black car. Neither one of them I painted. They came like this. So they're not perfect. You know, there's sand scratches you can see in my white car. You can see the difference in the bumper and the fender. Do I want a show car that I race? No, but I just want a nice car that's clean. That's going to be, you know, respected and I enjoy it. So that's kind of where I try to get you guys to get with your Fox bodies is, you know, no matter what you're building, no matter what style of racing or car show or resto mod, whatever you're doing, you know, do what you want to do. Do what you enjoy. You know, if you want to put a wide body on your Fox body, or if you want to put turbines on your Fox body, or if you want to put one-piece headlights on it, just whatever. I mean, the main thing is you're taking care of it and you're enjoying the car. And, you know, we talk about on the channel, it doesn't matter what you do to it. It's what you would like it to look like. You see what I mean? So I don't want my, like, for example, I don't want my SSP to look like it's like a stripped out drag car. That's not what we're doing. You know, we're going to have a dash in it complete. We're not going to have a heater box like my black or my white car here, but it's going to have seats. It's going to have a rear seat. It's going to have a cage in it for my safety. We're going to have a console in it. I mean, we're going to have a carpet in it. We're going to have a headliner in it with a light that turns on, door panels. It's going to be full interior for the most part. And I got to have that, you know, outside of the car, it's going to be tubed in the front, and we're going to save weight on the chassis and make it stronger. But that's what I've been wanting to do for a long time. I know even at that point, my car is going to be 2,500 pounds. And then I can really kind of start digging into my tune start making all my horsepower that I make and all my different tunes go faster, bigger, better, and faster. See what I mean? So, do you have a 10-point cage or an 8-point cage at the time? Which do you recommend? So I always recommend when you do your subframes first, torque box reinforcements, because you should do them together. Because you're already under the car and you're already making adjustments. Do yourself a favor. If you don't want the whole 8-point with the 2-door arms, which you should do, and you're gonna street drive your car probably 90% of the time, get removable bars. Like, I think you can take a simple $250, $300 cage, like from Competition Engineering, I think that's what they're called, from Jegs or Summit. And if you had somebody put it in, you could do it yourself. They actually make quick disconnects for your door bars to remove. Like, if you notice, my black car doesn't have a cage 8-point when I'm driving around the street. I did that because I removed my bars when I don't race. So is that the right answer? No, but it's a safety thing. When I want to race it, I want to street drive it, I don't want to climb over a bar. So consider getting swing out arms if you do a cage on an 8-point. 10-point should be, if you do an 8-point, you should just do a 10-point anyways, and just get the halo over top. The only thing that sucks about that, I mean, if you plan on making good power, you should probably do it because it'll tie the whole front corners of the cowl panel and stuff, you know what I mean? Where the car, you know, you're now talking about weight bias. Like, I'm really kind of getting deep here, but you know, you're putting your pillar bars literally on 2 points of the car that are very, you know, very teeter-totter. Does it make sense? It's, instead of it being the door bars here, your car's still gonna, you know, lift. You got to think of like physics, you know what I'm saying? By putting the halo down, not only is it protecting you if you flip or hit a wall, you know, it's also kind of tying your car into itself. Some people even come through and weld bars into the the strut towers, on the back of the strut towers. So it kind of ties it all in. It's crazy. A lot of things you can do. What's up, Fox Body Addiction 216? Good to see you, man. Got your little stand right here. Double in a little of all of that, like I do. Upgrade it, race, show it. That's correct. So I got subframe connectors and rear control arms lowered, but besides brakes and rotors, what else can I do to try no prep? Okay, so you got subframe connectors, rear control arms, shocks and struts. If you're going to try some no prep, shocks and struts, and they can even be the entry-level 10 ways. Guys, I've done just fine on 10 ways, pretty much into the 8s for the most part. You know, minus about that much, 6 inches. The 8-inch, 10, I don't know how much a tenth is worth, or 0.05. What do we go, 0.03? That's probably like a couple feet. I was that close to an 8. But regardless of, we'll talk about the beams at the end of the track. Regardless, shocks and struts will probably be the next thing. If you got those things set up and you're not doing a cage right now, then try that first. For an aftermarket engine management system, which do you prefer? I would probably have to say the Terminator X. I think the Terminator X is very user-friendly. If you're a mechanic and you're working on your stuff and you're pretty much installing everything that you do, there's a lot of support out there for, especially like Donnie B at Anderson Ford Motorsport. If you were to, like, he actually sells the Terminator kit now. I'm pretty sure I could say that, but he sells a Terminator X type of kit where he offers very good customer service, customer support. Matter of fact, Donnie B over at Anderson Ford Motorsport also has a number of very good Terminator X videos on his channel. So kind of do's and don'ts, what to look for, how to install it. See what I mean? Stuff that's important for the genre if you want to start learning how to self-tune your car, which is exactly the same road that we're going to go down when we start doing my SSP coupe, because I don't know the Holley system just yet. I know binary editor, and I can make application to it and say, okay, well, I know what I did over here. I'll have to do it over here. You see what I mean? So we're going to learn that just like everybody else does when they put it in their car. I may have missed it because I tuned in late, but did you choose a color for the SSP? Yes, it's actually in the video, Bruce, this week. My channel members here on the channel and I had a lengthy discussion-ish, threw some pictures up. We talked all last week because, the coupe was leaving. If you watch the channel on Instagram or watch the channel on the shorts, you'll know that we were pretty much had the car in pieces here. And we weren't, it looked like we were parting the car out, but all we were doing was making it a little bit cheaper for us at the paint shop, to where all they have to do is just start paint prepping, start getting the car cleaned up and stuff. So gonna have to wait till Tuesday. Sorry, buddy. Channel members know what we got going on, bro. What do you say? My Maximum Motorsport suspension does not use the torque boxes anymore. Is that the new, like the adjustable ones, or the different ones that they have for Maximum Motorsports? MB Nasty Garage. I want to do a tubular front suspension on my 85. Is there a coilover setup that doesn't make a lot of noise? I'm going to be honest with you, man. My coilover setups in both my cars, they bounce around like they're a trampoline sometimes. I mean, you hit them up, you'll hear that, and you're like, oh. It's just kind of you can't have your cake and eat it too. You know what I mean? You want performance. You want strength with the subframe connect. Excuse me, with the tubular front K member. You want the light. There's a lot of pros to it, but one of the biggest cons of running coilovers and tubular K member in the front is you will have a little bit of ride noise. When you're turning, you might hear your wheels kind of touch the springs a little bit. So you always got to be careful when you put a coilover kit on. Now I'm gonna tell you this, NB or Nasty Nate. Is that right? Nate Nasty, right? Is that right? I will tell you this. If you got the weights on the back of the wheel, is that right? Where they clip them in. I don't know if you have the stickies or you got them on the back, but this is for anybody who runs coilovers. Got to watch when you put your wheel on and you have coilovers. Say you just installed them. You're gonna want to turn your wheel all the way left and right and check where your wheel, because your strut, your turn, it'll change, and sometimes it'll draw the rim in, and when you're turning on a tight turn, it'll catch that. That wheel will actually hit the spring, and that weight will eventually either fall off or mess your rim up. You know what I mean? So wanted to kind of went lengthy with that, but I figured I'd tell you. I believe I have made them work as such as Neo. I have Viking Berserkers are good. And Warriors in the back, I probably go Crusaders. The Crusaders were the ones we were looking at as well. We haven't ordered our struts just yet, or our shocks, but pretty sure we're going to do big guns all the way around. I mean, those things are just ridiculously expensive, but I figure, you got to pay to play. So if I want to get serious with some of my combos here on the channel with stick shift racing, then I got to get the stuff that works. Not that the 10 ways didn't work. I'm gonna tell you what, I made them work, and I enjoyed the shit out of it because they were like $100 a piece. Murphy's Law in the house. Hello, everyone. Late. What are you talking about? We're talking about what happens in your car when your car changes at like 120 miles an hour. What is the best nitrous brand to throw on these Foxes? To be honest with you, I'm not really a nitrous guy. That's not really a question I can answer. However, we've had nothing but fun with wet and dry kits. Something cheap, something easy, plate kit. 100 shot. You can get away with 100 shot without doing any tuning. Oh, you probably shouldn't say that, but we've put 75 to 100 on a stock motor, just a little dry shot, and it's done pretty well. But again, you start adding power, your car is going to change. You add, say you make a 300 wheel or a 275 wheel with a set of GT40s, or a stock bottom end with a HCI setup, whatever. Say you make a 275, you throw 100 shot on, let's make a 375. Your car changed. It's like, what are you doing? Like, the car may do this going down the track, and you got all that torque, and nitrous is just pure torque. It's badass. I enjoyed nitrous when we ran it on Dad's car last year. So consider that. MGI suspension is overlooked by many. That's correct. That's why we're doing, again, that's why here on the channel SSP is going to be, welded up. It's going to be modded up. There's not one power mod going to go in that car. Driveline or axle until I know it's got a solid base to start with, because then it's on. You know what I mean? Then it, then we can put the power in it. Beautiful day in Tennessee today, so I took mine for a spin. Love watching see the head turns. That's correct. Anywhere you go with Fox bodies, man, people look. Tell me I'm wrong. I'm really considering the MF Customs kit. Okay, so the MF Customs kit is actually an adapter. So I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about, but Dan over at MF Customs created an adapter that allows your Terminator X to plug into your stock wiring harness. Pretty much simplifies the install. So does it work? Yes. Dan did a really nice job. Have I tried it? I have not. It's not on one of my cars. It'd be something that would be curious to try since we got a couple of Terminator X's here. However, I've heard nothing but good things about it. And actually, the guy I tune with, Dave, the mad scientist here on the channel, is looking to try to get that conversion into like an SN95 computer into like a Super Coupe, because he messes with Super Coupes a little bit. So I know there's been some chat back and forth about trying to do something like that with the adapter, but that's hearsay. The Fox body one, I don't know if it works on the channel here, but I know that I haven't heard anything bad. I haven't heard it not work. And like I said, the main thing is, and the biggest headache about Terminator X is the install and the wiring. Everybody knows that. It has a little bit of an IAC. Was it TPS or IAC? I don't know, something like that in the Holly programming that's kind of hated or whatever. But yeah, check them out, man. Consider it. I mean, if you don't mind, I think there's some sub harnesses you have to still put into the car though. So make sure that you get the kit and go to Anderson Ford Motorsport. Go to Donnie B. If you're going to buy that kit, go to Donnie B over at Anderson Ford Motorsport and check out the kit he kind of put together with MF Customs. So, night. See you soon, Sandy. It's good to see you. World's fastest Florida State Patrol is my boy. Hope so. Torque arm eliminates upper arms, therefore no need for upper reinforcements. That's correct. Main thing I hear is hatch bouncing around. Oh man, I know that. I run spacers already. My 17x9s rubbed. You know how I got away with some of the rubbing on my black car? It's like, you guys know I still have like factory brakes on my black car. It's kind of ridiculous. For years, I don't know, my braking system is just like a superhero, because that car stops no problem at 135, 140 miles an hour. I mean, I'm standing on the brakes a little bit, but it makes no sense. But the thing of the matter is I ended up putting 3-inch studs. I ended up getting really good drilled slotted rotors on the front of that car and really good brake pads. The power stop ones, the ones that are like kind of pricey or whatever. I wanted to see if maybe I can kind of bridge the gap between having to do a whole 5-lug conversion like we're going to do with the Cadillac brakes. Needless to say, I ended up sticking 3-inch studs. I ended up figuring out what knurl it was and in the rotor, and ended up sticking 3-inch studs. And it kind of looks a little bit funny on my black car because you got 3-inch studs sticking out of the front of the car, not sticking out like spikes or whatever, but it's kind of, you can see where it is on the wheel. And it allowed me to run a good spacer behind it. And the one thing about 17x9s, it depends on what the back spacing is. If you got too much of a back spacing, like 5.5 was always a good one for a 17.9. 6.0, you get anything past 6.0 on a 1710, started getting into the quad shock area in the back. You see what I'm getting at? So you could use spacers and longer wheel studs, preferably ARPs, to make your kind of set your thing up a little bit better. Cody, if one wheel starts lifting instead of coming up evenly, you need bracing. That's correct. I'm going with front strain struts, UPR coilover kit. Any issues with this UPR kit? I actually run QA1 on my white car, and I run UPR on my black car. So I have both kits, and neither one of them I've had an issue with. The one thing I didn't like about UPR kit was the way it spaced the front wheel. It seemed like no matter what I did, I couldn't get the spacing right. So when I turned, like my front wheel wanted to catch my spat. You see what I mean? So it was almost like it was like a quarter of an inch off or whatever. So maybe it was my plumb bob was wrong. If you don't know what a plumb bob is, it's 4 points. You're trying to make sure that your K member's installed square. I am full UPR here, no issues. What is the best off-the-shelf turbo kit for a 302? One that you make yourself. I'm always encouraging, fabrications, guys. I'm always encouraging going out there and trying. I mean, we sort of made our own turbo kit with Dad's car, if you remember. We did have a little bit of help from On3's header. I would probably have to say not the best, cheap, fast, and reliable. So if you want something that's going to last a long time, there's obviously turbo kits out there that you can buy that are pricey. They kind of take the guessing out of it and the age out of it, where you can, you got maybe better equipment than other kits. But if you're handy with the tools, best bang for buck's always been for me has been On3. So, and I've modified all my kits at some way, shape, or form just because they're mine and I've done different stuff with them. But it's not the best kit on the shelf, but it's pretty close. It's for bang for buck, it's a good kit. We always changed our wastegate. I always liked the precision wastegate, the accuracy of the precision wastegate, though. So KP, what would you like to do for strengthening steering components? Definitely Flaming River rack, which Flaming River rack also comes in a power steering too as well. So you get a good rack, good quality rack, and doing the steering knuckle. Probably one of the biggest safety concerns, and it's not even on my list here, but when we start talking about other safety concerns, is that rag joint, which is on your steering, should be eliminated anyways. I actually bought a convertible many years ago, was bringing it home from the channel, or bringing it home from Cleveland, and this rag joint almost fell off on me. So this is the steering knuckle from my white car, and if you remember correctly, this thing was moving here. So one of the best suspension mods you can do is getting rid of this rag joint for steering. You know what I mean? When you put a different rack in there, put a bump steer. Bump steer is huge, and that was where I was getting at earlier in the channel. When we started going down the track and we were shaking, when we fixed the shake, it started tying Dad's car up a little bit with the control arms and the subframes. Then the next thing that was going on was we were steering all over the track, and we had to put a bump steer in it. Naturally you want to put, if you're going to put a bump steer in it, might as well just put a different rack on it. But hope that answers your question. Frank, if you're thinking of manual setup, go with the Tremec TKX. What did Frank say? Which transmission do you prefer for street strip? Let's say engine making TKX. Guys, I'm going to say this here. There's not going to be much support left for the TKO soon. Even the T5s, it's getting rough. They're just not making the components anymore, if that makes any sense. Like the main cases, the tail shafts, the top plates, at least for Ford. They're just TKO. The TKX kind of does what the TKO couldn't better. And if you're going to get a transmission that's kind of like newer and strong, I mean, you guys see what we did with the TKX on the channel. Like I said, we're definitely considering putting a TKX in for NMRA and Bowling Green just because. See if we can't push it into the 8s right there at Bowling Green on the radio. That'll definitely tell you how strong that thing is. Of course, we'll have an extra one in the trailer. We'll have to. What's the cheapest set of heads you would recommend for a stock bottom end motor? Going with a mild cam, are there any cheap aluminum heads that are any good? So again, if you didn't see my last video with the used aluminum heads, you have to be careful when you're buying too cheap. Flowtex, I heard, were decent, but remember, I just sold a motor to a club member or channel member here, Lamar, which I have to actually go through again because I have to make sure that all the torque setting and everything in that motor is correct. Because after seeing the flow text that the guy had bought, the previous owner, that this motor was in the SSP, told me that those flow techs came out of the box warped. So the machine, when he took them the heads to the machine shop, the guy said they were warped pretty good, and they were brand freaking new. So I mean, I guess you get what you pay for, but consider the fact that you can run some GT40s as well, save some money, throw some springs in them, and get just as good of gains for a stock bottom end motor. You know what I mean? Put aluminum heads on a car on a stock bottom end with a mile cam and an intake. You might see 295. You might see 285, 290. You might put a GT40 set of heads on there, like a P set. Have to deal with the spark plug angle. Put the same cam in it. Put rockers on it. Same intake. You're probably going to see 275, 280. So you're not going to gain a whole lot more because of the port velocity on GT40P heads are really good, considering for a stock application. You see what I'm saying? At some point, the lower, the short block overcomes the port velocity of the heads, and it just starts, choking it up. But on a 302 GT40P heads are probably one of the best budget mods that you can get if you're going that route. Aluminum heads, don't get me wrong, aluminum heads have its purpose. Those trick flow 170s are badass. There's a number of sets of heads I could tell you, but moving on. One you make yourself is correct. That's correct. Talking about turbo. What's up, Fat Boy Fox? Good to see you, my man. Also, highly recommended doing an anti-roll bar as well. Yeah, anti-roll bar. I mean, even if you don't race a lot, you can disconnect your anti-roll bar. You could. What's is it not a cotter pin, but what's the little clip pins that quick disconnect pins that like for trailers you get? You can get bigger ones over at Tractor Supply. You can literally put clip. I wouldn't probably do that, but I mean, it's not wrong. Promax, that's the one. The in blue prong makes some good budget. So if you guys don't know who Daniel Robinson is, he is a Summit Tech at Summit Racing. He's been there a long time, so he's got his ear to the ground when it comes to aftermarket parts especially for Fords here. So big shout out to Dan Robinson here on the channel, man. Kent, is that 5-lug and the right size? So what are you saying? Is that 5-lug and the right size? I don't want to put axle that will change the way tires sit under the car. What do you mean? Lots of videos from Machine Shop of new out-of-box heads being screwed from the get-go. Yeah, so anybody that comes to the channel and asks me, well, what's the best budget heads that you would do? Be honest with you, just go find you a set of GT40P heads, save yourself some money. When you start stepping into a 351, you start stepping into a mild stroker, 331, 347, even start stepping into a 30 over 351, then buy your heads. You could put GT40 heads on that stuff, but I probably wouldn't, because like I told you, you start bottlenecking your power and your airflow and your port velocity. So I have a set of 1.7 Cobra rockers and trick flow springs for my E7 heads. Would that be a good way to go? Project Hot Wheels had the same exact things. The most we made on Project Hot Wheels was 472, 512 to the wheels, blowing through the clutch. That was on a stock rebuild motor. When I say stock rebuild, intake to pan. The only things we put on that motor was head studs and rockers. Well, we had to put injectors in it, obviously, for the fuel, but what's up, Lamar? I knew you was there. I just got a set of Speedmasters. So I heard Speedmasters aren't terrible either, but they're not exactly cheap either. What up, BBQ Mike? You're welcome. Newhart. Yeah, so again, guys, what happens at 130? You're probably winning, but your car's shaking like hell. Tying the car up, whether you're driving it down the street, like any of the mods that you do, like I said, 8th mile, quarter mile racing, drifting, autocross, whatever you do, whatever more power you do, whatever modifications you do to your Fox body outside of the resto mod, resto, is just going to make it better. On the channel, I like to give you guys some experiences that I've had, and most of those experiences are actually filmed in one of the 575 videos that I have on YouTube, but they're all still relevant to today. You know, Dad's Cars playlist literally is the epitome of what we're talking about here on the channel right now on live chat. It makes a transition of power. When you start adding a little bit at a time, GT40 heads, what it make? Intake, what it make? Cam and rockers, what it make? You know, change the valve springs, we made like 10 more horsepower because the valves weren't floating all over the place. You see what I'm saying? You start, you know, then you start getting into the power adder stuff. When you start getting into that power adders, you're actually adding 100 to 200% more load on your motor. So the car's got to be able to react to it. So that's the whole point of this live chat tonight. So my buddy dropped off a 351 with 3-bar heads, B21 cam. He has a turbo kit to put on there. My question is, are the hyper-eutectic pistons going to hold up? They'll be fine. They'll be fine. They'll be fine. The hyper-eutectic pistons are usually good till you blow it up. That's the best way I can put it. Are they a little bit weaker? I don't know. Kind of. They're still decent pistons. At least they're not cast. What's up, Ryan Koss? Good to see you. Well, thanks for stopping by. I don't hate my Speedmaster 190s for the price. Too great. 2 years random. Nice. So if you haven't seen the video this past weekend, this Friday, we actually have cylinder heads for the 387 now. And we just got the springs in. So big shout out to TrickFlow because they donated the springs to the build along with the timing chain. So I want to make a special shout out to TrickFlow over at Summit Racing, whatever. I'm a dealer with them, so I ordered a handful of 2500 100s to rebuild heads here at the shop, and they kicked in a set of 16 315s or something like that. It was on the channel. Anyways, the springs are working. We had to shim them quite a bit, but they're going to work really well with the heads. The TrickFlow 170s that we got definitely have some port work done to them. They flow over 300, which is really good. So that 387 is going to sing for sure. We were going to stick GT40s or the Windsor senior heads, junior heads on it, whatever. But we got plans for the junior heads. We just had those rebuilt actually right before the aluminum head ones, and we decided to not put them on. So we're going to put it on something else that's coming soon to the channel. So Dan Robinson, Speedmaster is made in Australia, and yes, Pro Max has a budget head, but also have a pricey head. So hell yeah. I just wanted to tell you that your car is going to change at 130. Your car is going to change at 120. How you deal with the way you put your mods in your cars, it's up to you. But consider not all mods on your car need to make horsepower. You could make your car run faster. You could make your car run better or handle better by putting mods on it that aren't power related. That's the whole point of the live chat. And a lot of those parts are safety. Not only do they make the car stronger and make the car not roll and body roll, but they also can help the car stay more stable. Nothing's crazier than coming through the traps at 150 and your brakes suck, or your struts or your shocks are wrong, or your steering's wrong, or your bump steer is wrong, or you're towed in, or you're cambered out, or whatever. You see what I mean? Kind of want to avoid that. So the whole point of this is to make sure when you're out there Fox bodybuilding that you consider some of the most basic safety and some of the most basic strengthening of your chassis that you could possibly think of. And some of it has to do with welding. So I would definitely consider, and I'm just leading by example with our SSP coupe here on the build, here on the channel. So the only reason why that car is in paint right now was because we had an opportunity, which you guys will see on Tuesday, so make sure you guys check that video out. We had an opportunity on a timeline that literally the paint shop said, get the shit apart and get it over here, we'll get started on it right now. Otherwise, you're waiting till June. You see what I mean? And I got a lot of things going on with that car between now and June, so I won't even think I would be ready in June. So the best thing we did was and you guys are going to like it. You guys are going to like the video. There's a reason why it's over there right now. It's going to be epic. You guys are going to really like it. I'm going to give you a little hint. There's an apprentice at the shop, and this is going to be, I'm not going to give away the secret. I'm not going to give away the secret. You guys are going to have to watch it. It's going to be great. You're going to love it. Mike Sherrill, love me some trick flow. I even bought the trick flow gasket kit when I put mine together. Nice. Cody, GT40 valves, guides, springs, and seats have a 3-angle job. Them hyper-eutectics are good as long as you don't run them lean. That's correct. That is correct. They're a little bit brittle. Anyway. All right. We're in at about an hour and 15 minutes. We're going to take some, you guys want to shoot me some tech stuff. I'm going to talk about some of the videos we got coming up this week, some of the short videos we got coming up this week, and some of the plans we have here on the channel. Here in Ohio, we're catching a little bit of a break this week. Last week, it was oddly cold. It was, I mean, you've seen some of the videos if you watched them, like 10 degrees, 15 degrees, like all day. Like so cold that my face was frozen taking the SSP to the shop over at the paint. So we're going to be sneaking in every week or so. So channel members, I promised you I would give you an update. We're going to sneak in there for Instagram and do a little bit of shorts and stuff like that and reels and stuff like that here on the channel. So we're going to sneak in on the paint shop to see how they're doing. So that's going to be a pretty exciting thing. That's going to be some content for the members coming up soon. So we're going to sneak in there at the end of the week, like every week. He said he'll be done with it in a month. So we have a timeline in the beginning of March. Because, guys, I'm going to do stuff to this SSP that I didn't normally do to the white and the black car. I'm not a TIG welder. I need to learn how to do it, but I'm going to leave some of that stuff to the professionals. And, when we get the 10-point from Team Z, sponsor on the channel here, then we're going to, we're going to have somebody professionally TIG that in. And I heard that Team Z's cage is really on point when it comes to their measurements and their cuts. So it's going to be probably, I mean, it's a coupe cage, so they're going to already have it pre-fit. And we just got to get it, tigged in correctly. So it's going to be a good thing. It's going to be great. Can't wait to see the SSP and the 387. That is not what's getting the 387. Like I said earlier in the chat, 100% 363 is going in the SSP. 100%. The black car is getting something different. Man, it's not the 387. You guys have to wait, man. I can't give up the car that the 387 is going in just yet. I think you guys are going to be super excited. So, War Admiral, what's up, man? You was hiding in the chat. I knew you was hiding in the chat. So, I talked to War Admiral Tom on the phone, and make sure you guys, it's 50 Asylum. Is that correct? War Admiral, and I think it's John Brooks who has the Dale Yeah car. So I think he's the 4-eye orange car, if you guys remember. Beautiful car. Him and War Admiral actually do a podcast now. So I'm kind of glad to see some of the podcasts coming back, especially Fox Body related. Bruce Campbell, who was just here in the chat, is a guy that I met. He actually came up here and got a non-defrost rear hatch glass. And we did a little bit of trading, a little bit of money. And I ended up listening to his story real quick. I think I mentioned this last week, and Tom, I talked to him on the phone. I think he might get him on the channel up there. Maybe, maybe not. But he has a really cool story too. We all have a good Fox Body story, and sometimes it just needs to be heard, because I enjoy listening to stuff like that when I'm working and such. So guys, get a chance, go check out War Admiral's 50 Asylum that he does with John Brooks. So Rattletrap Fox, Neo, I need your wisdom. I'm on the fence about staying drum brakes versus wheelwood discs in the rear. I want to start track racing. Okay, so I'm going to answer this the best way I can. You do not need to change your rear brakes. Should you? Yes. Does it need to happen? No. 75-ish%, depending on your bias, 75%-ish of the braking power. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but this rule of thumb, 75 to 80% of your braking power comes from the front. And when you start drag racing, you kind of want to start changing it to the rear eventually, but it depends on what mile an hour you're going, whatever. There's nothing wrong with still having it in the front at 150. That's kind of what TBM brakes do. I think they put a 4-piston in the rear, and then they put 2 pistons in the front. And, you know, it's smarter to stop the car in the rear versus in the front when you're trying to drag race. But if you street the car a lot more, or daily the car during good weather, definitely consider just putting the Cadillac Brembo brake upgrade. That's all the brake you're going to need, bro. Are they a little bit heavy? Sure. I mean, but if you really want to spend some money, get some strange brakes, that's what I run. TBMs are a great brake when you start really wanting to go fast and start braking from the rear. But, you know, I hope that kind of helps you a little bit. So 650, now that I want to make a, we showed this housing. You guys remember this on the video. So actually, we run a 7675 on my black car and my white car. And one of the main things that we had was back pressure issues. And I showed you guys this on the video. This is made by AGP Turbo. Right there. AGP. The guy's name is Ben that I was dealing with. I don't know if he's the owner or the tech or whatever. He's probably the owner. That's a 127 housing. We sent a housing over to 650 because he's about to go up on the dyno. And then when are you going on the dyno, Edgar? He runs the same, like a 363 motor, runs the same turbo that I do. I already know he's got back pressure. And he put a 3.5-inch exhaust on it and made a real pretty exhaust, kind of like the one that we had in the black car, just better. And stainless too, if I remember correctly. Tigged it all himself, did a really nice job. He's going to put that housing on his car, and he's going to beat me to the dyno with it. So I'm really kind of curious to see what happens. There it is. So there's the 5.0 Asylum. That's what you want to check out on it's on Instagram. It's on Instagram. That's exactly what I bought. The Caddy Brembo conversion. And just rebuild the drums, set your bias to the front. Because if you're going to do the Caddy Brembo brakes like we talk about here in the channel, get the Wheelwood adjustable proportioning one and run your own lines. Like I ran copper lines. You guys see them if you've noticed. No big deal. I just took out the stock lines and took out the master cylinder and everything. I had no problem running my stock GT booster with a SN95. Well, I think it's an inch and 5/16 or something like that bore. It stops the car just fine. Just kind of work your way into it, man. You don't have to have rear disc brakes if you don't need them. Black car would definitely not have a problem stopping with Fox brakes, but I'm sure with Brembos would be a little bit better. So February 13th, we're going to see if that housing works. That's this week, ain't it? No. I think I might beat you to the dyno, bro. You got some pistons laying around for that R for a 325 stroke. You talking about 363? I'm actually looking for a 363 block, bro. I actually have a couple. I want to say I have 6 or 7 JEs because we melted one. Long story short, I got the 363 secondhand from a buddy of mine who shot like 400. I think Mike 300 or 400 shot of nitrous at it. It was crazy. He ended up melting one of the piston land, but the other ones were fine. So I ended up getting the block from him and having it like touched up to like 365. It's actually not a 363. It's a 365. It's 4130. We had to clean the bore up a little bit, but I do have pistons for that shit. Not all of them, but I have most of them. Isn't that crazy? Stay tuned this week for the bid. I'll make sure I forward that to Ben at AGP. They donated 2 of the turbo housings to the channel for us to try them out. I'll tell you what, man, I sent one right to Edgar. I was like, look, man, tell me this thing works. I'm fitting to put it on my car too, and I'm gonna enjoy it, man. I know I got back pressure. Love it, man. Love it. Here's the thing: is Precision Turbo And I'm going to make a short video tomorrow for you guys. What's in that box? You guys got to pay attention. They really hooked it up, man. And that's one reason why I like pushing Precision Turbo so much, is because I've had nothing but good customer service with them. I own 3 of their turbos, and every one of them has now been back for a rebuild. And every time I send one back for a rebuild, the customer service gets even better. And you guys have to stick around. Again, it's not going to be a long video tomorrow. I'm going to put out a video tomorrow at some point, or it might be Wednesday. I don't know. I got a lot of work to do. I got a couple transmissions to rebuild, but I gotta make a shout to Precision, man. They took care of us. Took care of us for sure. Hell yeah, see what she does. Hell yeah. Instagram, Facebook, group, Apple, and Spotify. So that's where the 5.0 Asylum is. I'm probably going to do a 347 short stroke. Okay. All right, man. We'll see you soon, Broken Tools. Good to see you, man. Make sure you guys go check out Broken Tool as well. He's got some, he actually just did a wiring upgrade. He's got a little YouTube channel going on. A lot of good how-to stuff. So he calls his, was it JYM? I'm assuming that's Junkyard Mustang. Where can I get a TKX trans and bell housing for low money? Ain't gonna happen. JPP, what's up, man? What's happening, D? Opinion on the best factory 351 Windsor block to start a build with. To be honest with you, dude, 351 Windsor, any of them will work. If you can steer clear of the 69 and 70s, they had like a 9480 deck height. Anything past that was a 9.5 deck height, because regardless of what short block you're going to use, you're going to have to deck the block to make it flat. Just peace of mind. Deck the block to make it flat. I would go with a roller. I would assume maybe you have a camshaft already. A 94 and up, 98 truck, 351 roller, F4 TE block already has an Explorer camshaft in it and already has a roller setup. So if you've already got a camshaft and already got rockers and rollers, and already got lifters and stuff, you could just, 302 camshaft and lifters is the same thing as 351. So you can just swap it over. Early 70s 351's a block. That's correct. So there's word that there's more nickel content in some of the older blocks, which I could see why it would be. They did use a lot of nickel back then. Nickel in the blocks back then. But I prefer the roller, to be honest with you. I have a 93 motor in here. It's a non-roller in here anyway. So, I mean, it was probably the worst choice I probably made. But, dude, it made 1,000 crank. 351 Windsors, you're not going to break unless you're making some serious power or your tune's that messed up. If I can get rid of this crank, I'll do the 3.4 stroke and make it 363. But I'll keep the bore. You got a hell of a deal on that motor. I'm jealous. Dan, what do you do? What do you have for a crank? I'm interested in a 3310 balance. I don't have a crankshaft, but you can get in touch with the mad scientist over here at the machine shop. He's he's the engine guru. Well, I know how to build them, but he's got all them fancy machines. Which is better, the HO cam or the 2001 Explorer cam? The HO cam, speed density, 8788. 71 to 73 blocks had highest nickel. That's correct. Just like we said. Yes, sir. All right, so I want to make another shout out to the guys who have, to Super Dave. Big shout out to Super Dave tonight. $20 super sticker. We got a new member on the channel, Preston Rollins, man. Thanks for joining the channel. That we've actually have we have the ability on the channel now to gift memberships. I don't know if you guys know how to do or how like Twitch works. Like you can watch video gamers and they could like Twitch they can like, I don't know, donate subscriptions to the channel to give out to those who want to try the membership out, but it's like a one-time thing where it's not reoccurring or whatever. So that was really cool. I didn't even know that. I didn't even know that until I watched another live stream where people were gifting memberships, and apparently I've already had it. So if you guys want to check that out, every video, join button down by the subscription. We talk about a lot of stuff in my channel memberships. They get exclusive perks to the channel. So appreciate all you guys in green here on the channel right now. So Kent, $5 super sticker. So much. Thank you so much donating to the channel tonight. And my man Tom at War Admiral 363. Again, check out his 5-0 Asylum setup with him and John Brooks on Instagram and on Facebook and Spotify. His one of his podcasts were in the top 50. Is that right? 50? I can't remember. I can't remember what he said. Murphy's Law, it's good to see you, man. Good night to you. Akeem, hit us up. We got everything you need for a TKX. That's correct. He does. Matt Paul, can you fit a 15-inch wheel on the Caddy? No, you cannot. That's one of the issues with the Cadillac Brembo brake is it's big, it's 4-piston, it's aluminum, it stops your shit. It'll stop your stuff from going, when you're going fast, but definitely won't, definitely won't. I don't even think you can fit a 16 on there. I think it's 17 and up at that point because of just because of the hub bore of the wheel itself. So anyways, again, this week we're going to be opening this box, talking about Precision Turbo. We're actually going to be putting that back on the black car because I can't stand the fact that it's not running. We're going to be putting a different housing on the white car. So actually, the white car and the black car are probably going to go to the dyno for a little bit of fun. We also have Dad's car to take to the dyno because we got to pull its driveline. We got the SSP and paint. So when it comes home, we're going to do we're going to sneak in on that the whole month and check out the progress. So it's going to be really cool, guys. I'm super excited, man. I've never had somebody else paint my car. I've painted dozens and I've done pretty good, but it's a lot of work. And I had an opportunity to, get into a paint shop and do a deal with a guy. And it's really, it's going to be great. You guys got to wait for the video. You're going to love it. So Jimmer, also with the 351 Windsor, I see they sell 4-volt main bearing caps. You have to drill. Don't worry about your bearings. We don't even have a girdle on the white cars 410. Don't worry about that. Main caps are one of the best things of a 351 Windsor. Their mains and their main caps are just monstrous versus the 302. You'll be just fine. Top 60 worldwide on Spotify for Automotive Podcast. Nice. So it's going to be cool to hear Bruce Campbell's podcast. You bring him on there. We're definitely going to have to get on there eventually at some point. Is that right, Tom? Also, I want to make a special shout out tonight to Tremec Transmissions and McLeod Clutch. If you guys didn't already know, go over to Instagram, go over to Facebook, follow me at Neo Mustangs. We actually are doing and I'm going to say this all the way up to the event. We're heading to Ford Takeover this year. We're actually going to be at the track with Tremec and McLeod and of course, 16 other stick shift racers. I'm going to be hosting and or race mastering a stick shift event, 16 car field. If you haven't heard it already, Tremec Transmission ponied up a brand new TKX to the winner, and McLeod Clutch ponied up a certificate for a twin disc or a clutch set. I would imagine it probably includes the twin disc to the loser bracket. So it's going to be really epic to watch. I'm sure it's going to be on Instagram. I'm sure it's going to be on Facebook Live and whatever as it's happening during the day. We would have made a larger field, but in respects to the fact that this is Ford Takeover and it's Caleb's event at the track with the vendor midway and the car show, all those beautiful cars there, and a little bit of swap meet going on and just a hangout. That kind of is the primary reason for the whole thing at the track with a little bit of testing to it. We're just having to throw a little bit of a shoot out there, have a little bit of fun, while we can. And, we would have made it a bigger field, but we only have the track from, for, a limited time anyway. So again, big shout out to Tremec and McLeod and Hanlon Motorsports for helping me get all that wrapped up. And it continues to help me get these, kind of like my concierge or something like that. He's kind of helping me with the channel and stuff. So appreciate you, man. Appreciate you, Andrew, over there at Hanlon Motorsports. It's my right-hand man for sure, for sure. NA Coyotes to the back. I'm just kidding. So yeah, we also, so the way I'm going to run it real quick, if anybody's curious, if you're going to Ford Takeover or thinking about going to Ford Takeover, just go for the burnout contest on Friday night in the racing that we have on Saturday. You're going to have a blast. You're going to get to meet a lot of people. There's going to be a bunch of YouTubers there, a bunch of good people to hang out with. All Ford event. Doesn't matter if it's a Mustang. It can be a truck. It can be, you know, a tractor. I think there's Ford tractors, isn't there? Oh, I'm just kidding with you. We need, yeah, we used to, you know, Dan Robinson, we used to have that. We used to have a badass car show at Summit. I think they still do in August, don't they? They used to be really big before, but I think that's kind of dwindled out a little bit. Jimmer, thanks again for the content, Neil. Can't wait for this week's videos. Anyone else, see you later. Winter is almost over. You're correct. So, guys, let me get real with you real quick. Let me church this up. It's February 5th. If your car's on the jack stand and you're waiting on parts, I get it. Get your car fixed. Get your shit ready. Weather's coming. Now, I know, even in the South right now, it's cold. So, you know, my prayers go out to, you know, I think there was a tornado or what have you, and there was some ice storms. So, guys, be safe down there. But the weather's going to change to the better soon. Get your shit done. Like, nothing is worse than staring at a car, 80-degree weather, and it don't run. Man, it'd be nice to get in that and just go to Walmart, get some eggs or some shit. You see what I mean? I get it. Get your car fixed. Even if you're going to put your stock parts back on it for now, get it done. Back orders are back orders. This is the way it is. That's just reality right now. Is it getting better? Sure. Sure. But it's not going to change. Inflation, money, time, family, consider the fact, make a plan, get on a whiteboard if you have to, figure it out. Some of the best, just write it down. I got to put this on my car today. I got to put this on my car this week. Write it down. Write it down and you'll do it. Just one thing. Like, I got to fix the brakes on my car. I got to do the same thing. I do it every week, beginning of the week. Like this week, I got to get my turbo, I got to get my black car running again. I wrote it down. Get black car running, turbo housing, video, whatever. Because a lot of what we do here at the shop, we put on the YouTube channel. So I try to motivate you guys. I got a lot of Mustangs in the fire here. Not legitimately, but I got a lot of things going on here at the shop. We got another coupe that we're bringing onto the channel, which some of you guys have seen. We got another car that is going to be somebody else's car that's going to be part of the channel as well, that I'm going to be showing here. So, guys, I appreciate all you guys for watching the live stream. Again, big shout out to the sponsors, Handler Motorsports, Anderson Ford Motorsports, Tremec McLeod, Trickflow, Team Z, all y'all. Appreciate everybody. Appreciate everybody, all the members in my channel in green. I think it's this one. We'll be talking soon here on the channel. So do your damnedest, make a list, make it happen. I shockingly noticed that my 91 still has an original glass with the VIN number on it, except for the core glass. Did quarters have VIN? Some of them did, some of them didn't. Do you redo transmissions for the public? Sometimes. Anyways, guys, we're about an hour and 38 minutes in. We're going to go ahead and call it a night. I hope I kind of shedded some light on it. Your car will change when you start to go faster. Make sure you guys check out these videos coming up this week. Got a lot of big things happening on the channel this year. Stay tuned. We're going to have a blast. So, my damn furnace went out Friday, taking car money with it. That's right. It's life. But guess what? You're going to find a way around it because you're going to figure it out, right? Even if you got to put stock parts back on it, life happens, brother. Hell yeah, I appreciate it, Neo. Keep it real. Yes, sir. All right, guys, without further ado, I will see you soon in the videos this week. Be safe. Keep your car straight. Get them fixed. See you soon.